Poland, a journey through 1,000 years of history. Chapter 1. The birth of the Polish nation. In the very heart of Central Europe, there is an extraordinary country, Poland, a nation whose history spans more than 1,000 years, a history marked by courage, perseverance, great victories, and painful trials. For centuries, Poland has transformed itself time and time again. It has experienced periods of remarkable power, devastating conflicts, the loss of its independence, and an extraordinary rebirth. Yet through every challenge, it never lost its identity. Today, Poland is a modern nation, a country rich in culture, filled with remarkable heritage, and home to people who proudly preserve the legacy of their ancestors. In this documentary, we will embark on an unforgettable journey. Across more than 1,000 years of Polish history, we will explore the events that shaped this nation. We will visit the places where history was made, and we will discover the people whose courage and determination left a lasting mark on Europe. Our story begins in the year 966, a defining moment in Polish history. It was then that Duke Mieszko I accepted Christianity. This decision changed the course of the nation's future. Not only did it transform the ruler himself, it also transformed the destiny of the entire country. The Christianization of Poland opened the door to Western Europe. It strengthened the young state's international standing and allowed political, economic, and cultural relations to flourish with neighboring kingdoms. From that moment forward, Poland steadily grew into one of the emerging powers of medieval Europe. Its geographical location offered enormous advantages. Important trade routes crossed Polish lands. Merchants traveled between east and west, bringing with them valuable goods, new ideas, and innovative technologies. Cities expanded rapidly. Bustling marketplaces appeared. Craft workshops flourished. Churches were built. Strong defensive walls surrounded growing towns. Each generation left behind its own legacy. Many of those treasures can still be admired throughout Poland today. During the Middle Ages, one city stood above all others: Kraków. For centuries, it served as the capital of the Kingdom of Poland. It was here that kings ruled, here that monarchs were crowned, and here that art, culture, and scholarship flourished. In 1364, one of Europe's oldest universities was founded, the Jagiellonian University. For centuries, it educated outstanding scholars, philosophers, artists, scientists, and future leaders. The university became a symbol of knowledge, a place that played a vital role in shaping Central Europe's intellectual life. As the centuries passed, Poland continued to strengthen its position. Its economy expanded, its cities prospered, magnificent castles, palaces, and churches rose across the kingdom. The country gradually became one of Europe's most important political and cultural centers. But this was only the beginning. The centuries ahead would bring Poland its greatest achievements, as well as some of the most difficult chapters in its long and remarkable history. Segue a tradução do capítulo 2 em inglês, adaptada para narração cinematográfica e otimizada para vozes de IA. Chapter 2. The Golden Age and the Rise of a Great European Power. The 16th century. For Poland, it was an era of extraordinary prosperity. Historians would later call it the Golden Age. It was a time of stability, economic growth, and rising influence across Europe. Following its union with the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, one of the largest and most powerful states in Europe was born, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Its territory stretched from the Baltic Sea, across the vast plains of Eastern Europe. It was an immense nation, diverse, multicultural, and unlike any other kingdom of its time. Poles, Lithuanians, Ruthenians, Jews, Armenians, and many other peoples lived side by side. Different languages were spoken, different traditions were preserved, different religions were practiced. Yet despite these differences, the Commonwealth became known for something truly remarkable: religious tolerance. At a time when much of Europe was torn apart by religious conflict, Poland stood out as a place where people of different faiths could live together in relative peace. Communities flourished, trade expanded, and people from many backgrounds contributed to the nation's prosperity. Agriculture became one of the foundations of the economy. The fertile plains produced enormous quantities of grain. Polish wheat was transported along the Vistula River to the great port of Gdańsk. From there, ships carried it to markets across Western Europe. The country also exported timber, salt, furs, and many other valuable goods. Cities grew wealthier, craftsmanship flourished, beautiful townhouses, magnificent palaces, and impressive churches transformed the urban landscape. This was also a golden age for culture. The royal court welcomed artists, writers, architects, scientists, and thinkers from across Europe. Masterpieces of art were created. Many of them can still be admired today. Education advanced rapidly. Universities attracted students from distant lands. Printing presses spread knowledge more quickly than ever before. New ideas reached an ever-growing audience. Innovation, learning, and creativity became defining characteristics of the era. For many, it seemed as though the Commonwealth's future had no limits. But history rarely follows a straight path. Even the greatest powers must eventually face new challenges. As time passed, political tensions increased, wars became more frequent, powerful neighboring states continued to strengthen. Internal disagreements weakened the government. The unity that had once made the Commonwealth so strong slowly began to fade. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon. Few could have imagined that within the next centuries, this mighty European power would face one of the greatest tragedies in its history. A tragedy that would erase Poland from the map of Europe. For more than 100 years. Segue a tradução do capítulo 3 em inglês, mantendo estilo cinematográfico, natural e otimizado para narração por IA. Chapter 3, The Fall of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and 123 Years Without Independence. Every great nation, sooner or later, faces a defining test. For the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, that moment arrived during the 17th century. The years of prosperity, power, and influence gradually gave way to uncertainty. The nation became increasingly involved in wars. Conflict drained the royal treasury. Cities were devastated, villages were destroyed, farmlands were left in ruins. Millions of people endured hunger, disease, and the constant fear of violence. At the same time, internal divisions continued to grow. The nobility held enormous political influence. Reaching quick and effective decisions became increasingly difficult. Political disputes weakened the government. Meanwhile, three powerful neighbors watched closely: Russia, Prussia, and Austria. Each sought to expand its territory and influence. By the end of the 18th century, the situation had become critical. In 1772, 1793, and 1795, Poland was partitioned 3 times. These events became known as the Partitions of Poland. Together, Russia, Prussia, and Austria divided the entire territory of the Commonwealth among themselves. After the third partition, Poland ceased to exist as an independent nation. It disappeared from the map of Europe for 123 years. For millions of Poles, it was a time of immense suffering. There was no independent government, no national army, no sovereign state. Yet, the Polish nation survived. Its culture endured, its language lived on, its traditions were preserved, and the memory of a shared past remained alive. In many regions, speaking Polish was discouraged or even forbidden. Foreign rulers attempted to impose their own language, their own customs, their own educational systems. They hoped to erase Poland's national identity, but they failed. Families continued teaching their children the Polish language. Parents passed down their history. Books by Polish authors were read in secret. Patriotic songs were sung from one generation to the next. Culture became one of the strongest forms of resistance. Poets, writers, painters, musicians, and intellectuals. They kept hope alive. They reminded every generation that Poland still existed in the hearts of its people. Throughout the 19th century, the dream of freedom never disappeared. Several national uprisings broke out. Thousands of men and women took up arms. They believed that one day their homeland would be free again. Although many of these uprisings ended in defeat, they strengthened the spirit of the nation. They proved to the world that the Polish people had never accepted the loss of their country. The decades passed. Europe continued to change. Borders shifted, empires rose, and empires fell. But one dream remained unchanged: the dream of an independent Poland. Finally, in 1918, at the end of the First World War, the long-awaited moment arrived. After 123 years without independence, Poland regained its sovereignty. A nation that had lived without its own state for more than a century returned to the map of Europe. A new chapter had begun, a chapter filled with hope, but also with enormous challenges. Few could have imagined that only 21 years later, Poland would once again face one of the darkest tragedies in modern history, the outbreak of the Second World War. Essa versão usa um inglês fluente e natural, adequado para documentários narrados em canais como BBC, National Geographic, History Channel e produções no estilo Netflix, além de funcionar muito bem com sintetizadores de voz como Eleven Labs, OpenAI TTS, Google WaveNet e Microsoft Azure Neural.